All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for the May Pendorama. My name is Molly Masterson. For those of you I haven't met, I work on our Pendo customer community and Pendo user groups. So we've got a great lineup of content for you today. We are going to be hearing from Alex Stevenson, who is a PM here at Pendo, Mary Lyon, who is the Chief of Staff and R&D over at Filevine, and Haley Kelpinski, who is a Senior Product Analyst at JJ Keller. So we are going to kick it off with Alex. If you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Stevenson, and I am a product manager here at Pendo. Today, I will discuss exciting updates that we have coming down the pipeline with Engage that I think will really enhance everyone's experience with my favorite Pendo report, funnels. Funnels in Pendo, they're a critical tool in your belt that will help you more deeply understand user behavior. Funnels allow you to see how successful users are at navigating through your product, completing tasks, and interacting with various elements. I want to take just 1 minute to talk about why funnel reports really are so important. Understanding user behavior. You can identify the most traveled paths or unexpected behaviors. By examining the stages where users are leaving or dropping off, you can identify problem areas or bottlenecks in your product. Improving the user experience. By understanding where users face issues, you can optimize the user experience to reduce friction and improve the overall satisfaction of your customers. This leads to higher engagement and loyalty. Increasing conversion rates. Once you've identified and addressed the bottlenecks, funnel reports will help you track the effectiveness of your improvements. By reducing friction, you can increase the overall conversion rate, leading to things like higher acquisition or retention. And then also cross-app journeys. With Pendo, you can run these funnels across multiple apps within your portfolio. Now let's take a look and see what we've been working on. I'm going to share kind of the recent updates that we've been doing. We've been working on a series of upgrades to our funnel report. Some have been released and some are upcoming, but I'm excited to share with you today. I also do want to thank all our customers for the great feedback you continue to leave us, whether it's through the feedback portal, a live call, or a note to your CSM. We get all that feedback, and it is what really drove our roadmap for funnels. We really do appreciate that. So here's just an example of funnel report we have on our demo site. So this new funnel enhancements, they went live at the end of April. So when running a funnel report, we will now calculate and display the top line metrics for you. You can see here, you show both conversion and average time to complete. So in this example, we had 29 people complete the funnel out of about 1,500 attempts, which was about 2% conversion. And the average time to complete was 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Additionally, we have expanded the amount of information we display on the tooltip. When you're on the tooltip, we will show you the average time from the previous step, the average time to the next step. We will also tell you if you have a segment applied, we'll say, in this example, everyone was the segment. We will also show you the date range set as the last 30 days or whatever date range you have set in your report. We have additional information at the bottom of each of the steps. We will show you the number of people who completed each step, as well as the individual step level conversion for each step, which we previously did not calculate for you. We also have badges to indicate whether it's the first step, an intermediate step, or a final step. This is really just the beginning. This was a foundational step that the future updates will be built upon. We have tons more updates coming to funnels throughout the year that I'm going to talk about more right now. So what exactly is coming to funnels throughout the rest of the year? You can run reports by unique visitors. Currently, when you run funnels with total attempts, you're essentially aggregating all the interactions, including multiple interactions from the same user. This can be useful for understanding the overall performance of a funnel or a process, but it may not offer the most concise picture of an individual user's journey. Unique visitors will provide a more precise view of the individual user behavior. It will allow you to isolate and examine the path that each unique user takes through your product. With the next update, you will have the option to run funnel reports by either total attempts or unique visitors. One that we have gotten requested a ton from our customers is the inclusion of guide events. With the inclusion of guide events, your funnel report will now track when users engage with walkthroughs, NPS, or other guide content within your product. This allows for better understanding of how these elements are contributing to conversion and to identify areas of improvement. Event properties. This will enable more detailed user behavior analysis. The inclusion of event properties will provide additional context for each user event or user action, allowing you to dive deeper into the specifics of user behavior. You can understand not just that a user clicked on the button or completed a task, but also what device they were using, or what subscription they were on, or what their job title was. Conversion rate over time. This feature will allow you to see how conversion rates are changing over a specified period. This can help you identify trends and patterns, whether your conversion rates are improving, declining, or remaining steady over time. By tracking conversion rates over time, you can measure the impact of changes or improvements made to your product or specific features. If you launch a new feature or made modifications to the user interface, for example, you can see how these changes might affect conversion rates. Group by. This feature will allow you to segment your data based on different user groups or characteristics as defined by your segments. It provides a more detailed understanding of how different segments interact with your product and where they each might be dropping off in your funnel. The insights could help enable more personalized and effective strategies for different user types. And then pin report to dashboard. By pinning the funnel reports to a dashboard, you make it instantly visible and accessible each time your team members or company leaders access the dashboard. Having a funnel report alongside other key metrics on the dashboard can provide a more holistic view of your product's performance. This can aid in cross-referencing data and gaining comprehensive insights. These upgrades are really just the beginning. We have an exciting roadmap ahead, and we look forward to unveiling more features in the future that will just further empower you to better understand your users' behavior. Thank you for your time today, and please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions, concerns, or any additional feedback.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alex, for taking us through that. Now is a great time to ask any questions for Alex in the chat. We do have one already from Sarah on the call who wants to hear more about the funnel time limits.
The funnel time limits. I think you might be referring to like the timeout feature potentially. So I'll assume you're referring to the timeout. So with the timeouts, when we roll out
I'm not talking about the timeouts. I'm talking about like we discovered that like maybe we're talking about the same thing. We discovered that like after 60 minutes, it stops tracking the person. Is that right?
So depending on what you have set for your timeout, right? So in the advanced settings, you can customize that timeout to be 60 minutes, to be 600 minutes, however you choose, right? So that's basically the time limit they need to have in the activity before they would time out of the funnel. With their next release for unique visitors, the timeout function initially will not apply. So if you have a date range of 30 days, as long as your unique visitor completes that funnel within the 30-day time frame, whatever your time frame the report is, it will consider that to be a successful completion of the funnel.
So in other words, you're taking away that 60-minute cap. Is that right?
So right now it's customizable. You can take that away now by just making it 600 minutes, but for the first iteration of unique visitors, it will go away, and then later on it will come back as an optional attribute.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Awesome. We have another question in the chat from Amy. Will you be adding the ability to exclude a page from the funnel like a pass-through page?
Excluding a page from a funnel like a pass-through page.
That last part was in parentheses. I assume she means as an example, like a pass-through page.
So one thing that we are still solutioning on that's not on the roadmap, but we are thinking about is making potentially optional steps where you could have maybe or logic for a step where it's, page A or page B, or potentially having a step that would be considered an optional step of the funnel. That gets to what you're asking about.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I did see that someone had raised their hand. If you want to share your question in the chat.
Yeah, hi, Molly. My name is Rajat. I was just asking about the funnel timeout. I was discussing this with Sarah in the morning. So yeah, I think Alex, you solved this. You like explained it correctly. So yeah, I got it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, if there are any additional questions for Alex, please feel free to reach out to us and we can respond outside the call. Thanks again, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay. So next up, we are going to hear from Mary. A little bit more about Mary. She currently serves as the Chief of Staff of R&D for Filevine, which is a legal management software company. She helps guide leaders and teams within engineering and product to become unified, efficient, and productive. Mary joined Filevine as the Director of Customer Success and spent her time getting to know customers and their needs, helping them find solutions in the platform, and helped cultivate long-lasting partnerships. With this experience, she joined Filevine's product team to bring this knowledge and insight to help guide roadmap decisions and ensure Filevine hears from its customers. As the Director of Product Feedback, Mary implemented an entirely new product feedback program with users that assists with user research, beta testing, and product marketing. Mary has worked in SaaS for over a decade in the Salt Lake City, Utah region. She enjoys baking, exercising, and hiking with her husband and 2-year-old daughter in her spare time. So today, Mary's going to be sharing how to leverage Pendo data and features to improve gross margins, customer retention, and user experience. Passing it off to Mary.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Molly. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here. And that was a fantastic intro. Filevine, as Molly mentioned, is the legal management software. And we came upon Pendo when we were searching for an NPS tool, a new in-app NPS tool. And we were just amazed with all the possibilities of what else it could do. And so it's been such a great partnership moving forward with all the tools. So today, as Molly mentioned, I'm just going to share a few of those things. And it felt like I was being asked to choose from a lineup of desserts, which is my favorite. It was very difficult. We do a lot with Pendo right now. It's very central to a lot of our processes. So I'm going to share 4 things that are newer or are recent updates and things we've been utilizing Pendo for. So I hope that this will inspire some ideas or additional use cases and applications that all of you might have as well. So the 4 that we're going to talk about today, the first will be the metrics that matter. So some of the things we're pulling from Pendo that are driving assets and benefits for different teams. Some of the operational success, so the gross margins that Molly mentioned. And I don't know a single company that isn't interested in adoption and retention. So I definitely wanted to cover how we're utilizing Pendo for that. And then the last area is talking about product feedback, because Pendo has become just a central hub for us in that regard. So this first one, our customers and our internal teams asked from probably the inception of our software for some sort of benchmark report of how am I doing versus other users who are similar to me, and internal teams trying to figure out what is a healthy launched customer looking like. And we utilize metrics to help inform that. But we've never created a public customer benchmark report until this year. So for our user conference, we pulled data from Pendo, like time on the app, our core events usage, and we were able to segment by some of the information in Pendo by customer size, their type, their launch date, different areas that would be interesting. and created a customized benchmark report for our customers. And we launched that. It's helped our marketing team, our sales team, and especially our customer success team being able to have such a great resource handy to talk to customers about what should they be seeing and what would be areas for improvement in their adoption and maybe where they need more training so they can up their game a little bit. And this has obviously been really fun for our product team to be able to see all the data so nicely laid out and cleanly for our markets and different customer segments. So that is a great use case for data that's already in Pendo. You can pull it out and customize it in that way. Adoption and retention, looking at this, we have been using PES, so the product engagement score from Pendo, for at least a year, maybe a year and a half. And we were first using it to understand the impact our product releases were having on customers, trying to measure how beneficial they were. And we began also using it to measure how successful or healthy is a launched customer, and how long does it take for them to get to that range. So we felt like it was time for us to reevaluate and just see a lot happens in software in a year and a half. So we did a new revised analysis on what are the core events that are impacting how sticky the system is for our users and are the best indicators that somebody will churn or be retained. And what are the areas of the system that power users are doing more in versus average? And what are our promoters versus our detractors doing? So being able to do that deep dive and analysis with the Data Explorer, with all of our information that is housed in the accounts, and obviously the NPS, the PES, all of those different areas, we were able to identify some new core events that actually had changed based on new releases and our expansion into different markets. And we were able to determine what is the updated metric we should be using across the company when we're looking at how healthy customers are, as well as what's the timeline look like for a customer who is launching with us, when they should be adopting each of those new features. So this has really led us to a very clear outline of what are some business objectives that we should have for product, but also across the company. And many of them did happen to also leverage Pendo to be able to increase the adoption and retention. So really excited about these. We definitely feel like this is a great initiative and direction. NPS feedback and analysis, this goes in line with those areas of adoption and retention, but understanding the themes that customers are sharing with us around why is our software great or where could it be better has been massively helpful. So comparing that data in the Data Explorer and using the account metrics like the customer size and type, we were able to start pulling out those themes of where are people bringing up new things and things that we should be addressing as a company, whether that's from our support team, our engineering team, QA, training, product. And it's something our entire company is invested in. We report our NPS to our board of directors, our executive team, and everyone wants to see it improve, but it can feel like a disorganized mess if everybody's just trying to chip away and we're not being strategic. So we were able to actually utilize the themes and the content coming through in Pendo to identify what are the areas, if we really want to move the needle on how satisfied our users are with our product and how likely they are to recommend it, what are the areas we should as a company be looking at? And then that's so much easier for all of the departments to go through and think through, how can I impact that? What can I do to change that? So this has been a massive improvement, and it's all with the data that's been provided in Pendo. The next area I want to talk about, the operational success. So our company, we had a corporate goal or a company goal to improve our gross margins, and we were shooting for improving it by a massive number. We wanted to improve it by 35%. And through many company initiatives, we were able to do so and exceed that. So we're very proud of the work that we've done, but it's been interesting to see how Pendo has actually played a role in some of those initiatives and making them easy to do and really efficient with the rollout. So that benefits our shareholders, every employee in the business, just reducing the load on what we have to do to move the needle internally. So one of the areas that we focused was trying to improve our partner network. So making sure that we were actually keeping up with the demand for implementation and training. Our customers love getting help and love talking to us. And so we started to create and leverage a partner network. We utilized Pendo to help with some of the workflows with that. So communication, selecting partners. We started engineering new tools for our partners to support our customers. And so utilizing the segments within Pendo, we can watch very closely what are they adopting as partners so we can help enable them and strengthen them and have that just trickle down and make sure our customers are getting what they need from the partners. An area that we're going to be launching is satisfaction surveys as well. So customers, as they are paired up with partners and they're working with them, they're also able to communicate with us in what their experience has been like, any sort of additional training they think is needed or help from the partner standpoint. And that way our partner success managers can train and coach their partners as well. So trying to help the ecosystem that we're creating, and Pendo has just fit right into that mold to help it flow smoothly. Another area that improves gross margins and operational success, we had a lot of small business accounts that were pulling really heavily on our resources, and they wanted to feel supported. And we found that if we created guides and a resource center location for them to interact with our Filevine team, as well as each other, so really creating kind of a network within that core group, they felt like they had a community and a place to go, and they were actually supported. And that was very simple to launch, utilizing the guides and the resource center within Pendo. So that was a fantastic win with minimal effort and no engineering spend there at all. And it continues to be managed by roughly a single person and has been massively successful. The last area I want to focus on today is the product feedback. So as Molly mentioned, we did launch Pendo feedback back in 2020, and it was probably our easiest process rollout for customers that I've seen at our company. And it's definitely been hugely impactful. I'm sure everyone can relate to the feedback collection process of looking at your emails. Maybe you have spreadsheets, Slack, Google Docs. We did have a paid portal for our users where they could actually input information and vote on ideas. It was not adopted well. Nobody could remember where to find it, and it was difficult to log into. And so it just was a really difficult process, and it left our customers feeling like they were shouting into the void because there was no easy way for the product teams to communicate back to them. There was just not any organization to it. It was scattered and very, very difficult. So launching Pendo feedback helped us solve that problem. And we did see that initial spike, but we continue to see just steady growth with all of our customers sharing ideas, voting on each other's ideas, commenting, and we're able to communicate back to them very easily within the system. So they hear from us when we're moving their ideas forward in the roadmap. And all of the feedback has been instrumental in helping our research calls, our design, as well as our roadmap planning. So being able to determine how impactful will this feature be if we move forward with it. It's so much easier to determine that because it's already collected and all of those metrics are there for us. Some of the other ways that this has become very foundational for our company, we have a Help Center article. I know that's going fast, but we have a Help Center article that basically trains our users on how to use the process. And this is a part of every single customer launch. Every customer that we talk to is passionate about making sure the system is doing what they need it to do. And so we want to hear that feedback. We want to improve. We want the user experience to be positive. And so just having this as part of who you are as a company has been so foundational and helpful to achieving that. The other way that we have found is a fun aspect that Pendo feedback has become integrated into our process. Every week, our product team meets on Fridays in what we call our Pendo water cooler. And it's basically where every product owner goes through their feedback and they're able to determine, okay, this is part of my roadmap. I'm considering that for later. Let me open it for voting, and just able to really make sure every customer is getting the attention that they need, and we're merging requests, keeping things clean and organized. And that meeting has become helpful for users because they're getting communication back, but also a really fun part of our product team bonding since we are all remote. So we're able to kind of chat about our weekends and the trends we're seeing with users. And this has just been a really fantastic avenue to do that. The other product features that we utilize to help us with feedback actually are outside of the feedback tool. We love using Pendo during our beta processes. So when we are launching a new feature and we will turn it on for a segment of users, we'll start tracking in the analytics, how is our adoption with this beta group? And we'll use the guides within the Insights tool to be able to track who's opting in. So it's much easier to keep track of the list. And then as well, having the guides prompt feedback around specific questions or the value people are getting, so we can target them for use cases or quotes for the launch, or just in general feedback that they're seeing of use cases that they have questions about or they'd like to get on a call with us to discuss. So it's become very helpful and seamless for our process for beta rollouts to be able to track all these things in Pendo, and putting all of these onto a dashboard within Pendo was something that we started doing for our larger betas last year, and was just so helpful to be able to have it all in one place. The embedded pieces of the feature planning, the research, the analytics from the beta usage, and all of the feedback all in one place was quite a game changer. So this has been fantastic. And just in general, like I said, there's so many more things we do with Pendo, but we have been very, very happy this year with those focuses on gross margins and improving our operational efficiency, and utilizing the data within Pendo to help us know where should we target our resources has just been perfect. So that is what I wanted to share today. Open to any questions anyone might have.
Awesome, Mary. Thank you so much. It's especially exciting for me to see how successful Filevine is with Pendo feedback. I started out as a Pendo feedback super user myself, and then obviously I'm at Pendo now. But yeah, always makes me happy to see it going well. Okay, no questions for Mary?
You're welcome, Liz.
All right, awesome. So next up, we are going to hear from Haley Kelpinski, who is a senior product analyst at JJ Keller and Associates. A little more about her. She has been with JJ Keller for 9 years. She has worked in product support, product documentation, and product management. And she loves dogs and has a super cute Shiba Inu named Luke, who I selfishly hope appears on this call. So I'll pass it off to you, Haley.
Great, thank you. Unfortunately, he's not in here. He has been kicked out. Otherwise, he would be very obnoxious and want to be in here. So unfortunately, he's been kicked out for now. But so one, thank you very much for this. I guess I was asked to present at this event for a very particular use case that we did here at JJ Keller when it came to Pendo. So just a quick brief about what our company is and who we are. We really live in the realm of regulation, compliance, and products and services. So keeping companies safe. Basically, it all comes down to safety and compliance when it comes to regulations that they need to follow. So that's really the basis of what all of our stuff is ingrained in. platform that I work in is called the Encompass Fleet Management System. So this is primarily with trucking companies. They need to keep driver files to ensure that they have all the appropriate documentation for them to be legal on the road. Along with that, drivers are required to keep hours of service. So recording how long they've driven, how long they've been on duty, how long they've been off duty, ensuring adequate rest. Because they're, driving 80,000-pound vehicles at 70 miles an hour is a little scary. So we need to make sure that they are rested. So that's pretty much the foundation of this site. It isn't the only thing that it does, obviously, but that's really the foundation of what it's for. Now, the project that I had worked on is that we are doing a user interface redesign. I know it's very small, but over on the right side over here are where we started is at the top. And then where we're going to is the bottom. And it's only a user interface change. So the database itself is all remaining the same. It's just basically giving it a facelift. The biggest part is that the original, well, at least this particular design, was done almost 15 years ago. So we were doing a really big pivot into how the look and feel was going to be, just because the market has changed. But then we've had customers that have been in there since that time, so they're used to how the system works. So it was really kind of getting that new UI in front of those customers for beta testing to see, hey, can you do what you need to do in the system? But if they are given that access, we need to give them some sort of incentive to go into the new interface, which we didn't have. So over time, as everything has completed in our new user interface, we were enforcing migration because we are going to be sunsetting the older interface. So we did give massive customer communication in advance before we moved them over to the new UI, making sure they had adequate training in the new UI, ensuring that they had a positive experience over there. So what we did is we had a redirect occur. These are two different URLs for these interfaces. So when a user is force migrated over into the new user interface, and they go into the classic environment, the older environment, they get redirected after about X amount of time. But I mean, that can be pretty abrupt if there isn't anything indicating, hey, you're about to be redirected. And our development team that implemented the redirect, we wanted to save them some time because they are still actively working diligently on the new UI with upgrades and enhancements and all of that stuff to ensure it's a very simple to use product for our customers. So that was our challenge. How do they know they're being redirected? So we actually leveraged Pendo for it. I created a guide in in Pendo that only displayed in our classic environment. So it's based off of the URL. But I basically removed all dismissibility and grayed out the backdrop for everything, basically treating it like a redirect page. And then if for whatever reason they weren't being redirected, they could click the URL to go to the new user interface to get into the system. The biggest thing is that we didn't want this to be dismissible. So I removed all the ability to do that. The big benefits from this was that it cut the amount of dev time needed to program this. I mean, the redirect is a single line of code for our dev team, so it was super straightforward. It allowed us easy visibility to see who is still attempting to get into the classic interface. So that's just simply done by guide views. It was really, really straightforward to do. This also ensured that users could still get into the system even if they entered the incorrect URL, since we had it right away in the message. But this did prevent a couple of issues, or this did create a couple of issues. There were cases where we did have to revert customers back to our classic environment for just extenuating circumstances. This turned that process into a two-step process instead of one, meaning I had to go into Pendo and remove them from the guide. And it did also skew our numbers a little bit slightly on understanding classic UI views versus new UI views, because they were still hitting that landing page and getting that view to display. But knowing those things out of the gate, we can remove those segments from those reports to know that these don't really apply to them, to make sure we can massage our numbers to actually reflect what's happening. So the amount of time that we saved on development just massively outweighed the drawbacks that we knew we were going to face, which were the two big ones that we see here. So that's, I guess, pretty much all I had to explain kind of what we did here. So of course, if there's any questions that you may have, but that's our fancy little implementation of a guide and a redirect experience.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Haley. Any questions for Haley? Okay, great. So next up, we are lucky enough to have Emily Miller on the call. She works at Pendo on our sales engineering team. So we have time to do a live Q&A with her if there are any burning technical questions that anyone has. So now would be the time to ask. You can share it in the chat. If you did want to elaborate on anything, you're welcome to come off mute, but definitely want to keep it organized and start it out in the chat. So, and this can be any technical questions at all, not necessarily related to anything the presenters have covered so far. So great opportunity if there's anything on your mind. No questions.
Let me break the ice. So my name is Rajat again. So I had a question regarding funnels and the timeout thing. So I'll quickly share my screen.
Oh, sure.
I think I'll have to stop sharing. Oops, yeah.
So I may have to give you permission to do that.
Oh, can you see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to ask you, even if I set it to 600 minutes, that's around 8 hours, or it was 60 before this. So how can time to next step be 9 hours? Because somebody is dropping off from that funnel, like it's not getting counted after 8 hours, right? As per the documentation. So how is this possible?
So the time to next step, yeah,
Mhm.
600 minutes would be 10 hours.
Okay, so if I do it 60, then it shouldn't show more than like 60 1 hour, right?
Right, between steps.
Okay, interesting. So
Yep.
we'll have to play around this and get the and the maximum is 10 hours, you mean? Like we cannot move it more
No,
than 600?
there isn't a maximum.
There isn't a maximum. Okay, interesting. So cool. This is interesting. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, because we've had customers that have set it to like, a week before.
Mhm.
If they have processes that take longer, maybe waiting for things to happen behind the scenes before they can continue.
Got it. Cool. Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Thank you. It looks like we have a question from Liz as well.
Hello, yes, I did have a question also about funnels. Maybe I've just misunderstood them this entire time, but hopefully not. If you define just the start point and the end point of a workflow, can somebody stay in that funnel if they do other things in between those two? Okay.
Yeah,
Whew,
yep,
okay,
exactly.
perfect.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Emily? Again, feel free to share your message in the chat, or you can raise your hand on Zoom and we can take you off mute. Oh, yep.
Hey, so sorry once again. I
Mhm.
wanted to ask you, in Pendo, can we track like drags instead of clicks for a button, or is it just the clicks that we can track? So there's a functionality in my app on the calendars where I can drag and drop a tile. I can get the click stream data. I see the clicks data every day, but can I check how many people have actually dragged that tile to a different place? Is there a
Yeah,
workaround for that?
So with our automatic tracking, we're just tracking clicks and focus events. So you can track, we have had customers implement it using track events. So track events can be sent, from the UI or from server side, but customers that have drag and drop software, whether it's like dragging on a calendar or maybe building out components within a page,
Mhm.
you can track that behavior with a drag and drop or with a
Okay,
track
so,
event, sorry.
okay, so we have to set up some track events in there and then we can track that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any last minute questions for Emily before we move on? Okay, great. Well, I am going to go ahead and share some other cool stuff that we have either just released or is coming up with Pendo. Am I sharing my correct screen? Can everyone see the presentation?
Other cool stuff. Mhm.
Other cool stuff. Great. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so this month we have not one, but two major releases. First, we have Data Sync, which will be helpful for those of you who are eager to do more with your Pendo data but are stuck because you can't get it into your BI tools. This is what is going to unblock you. Then we also have Validate, which is how you build products you know users will love, use, and pay for. So this is going to be for teams that really need to have an impact on ROI, who ship business outcomes and not just features. You can learn more about both of these features on the new page, which is linked below. We also wanted to share our product analytics certification course for anyone who may not have taken it yet. This course dives deep into the foundations of product analytics strategy and use cases for leveraging analytics and how to foster a data-driven product organization and company. It's designed for product teams who want to deepen their understanding of product analytics and bring data-driven practices to their own work, their team's operating model, and their company's culture. So a couple other things about this: it takes about 3 hours to complete in one sitting, but it does autosave, so you don't have to sit there and do it all in one go. And you will find both educational content and hands-on guides throughout this course. And at the end, there is going to be a certification exam. So you will then get a badge once you're done, and you will be officially product analytics certified. Also got to plug Pendemonium and our customer awards. So now is the time to submit to win one of our annual customer awards. If your team or your company has a cool or innovative use case or anything unique or interesting about how you are leveraging Pendo, we want to hear about it and hopefully celebrate your work on stage at Pendemonium. So these are due in June 9th, and you can scan those QR codes for the direct submission link. So I'll give a minute to do that. I know some folks on this call have some cool stuff to share. Okay, great. So overall, about getting more out of Pendo, if there is a feature or anything we've talked about on this call today that you don't already have a subscription for and want to learn more about, you can, of course, request a customer demo or talk to your CSM to learn more. Also got to plug Pendo User Groups, which is the program that I run. So we are doing in-person user groups all across the US and a few virtual chapters as well. Our leaders have done a great job at getting these up and running. So grateful to have such wonderful leaders. We have a couple of meetups coming up next week. So I will be in Austin and Dallas. Those are next week for the Texas-based folks on the call. We also have Atlanta coming up in July. And for those of you in the Chicago area, we actually just got a user group off the ground. We're going to have the first meetup coming up this fall. We also have 2 virtual user groups that meet regularly as well. So you don't necessarily have to be in person in a specific place. Education technology, we actually had a great meeting earlier last week. And then we're going to have the first customer success virtual user group coming up soon as well. So more to come on that. And if you would like to start a user group in your area, if you don't see your area represented here, please let me know if you'd like to learn more. Last up, refer a friend. If you want to get $50 for you and your referred friend when they take a meeting, you can go ahead and scan this QR code and you will get $500 if they close their deal and become a Pendo customer. And you will also get a free pass to Pendemonium. Thank you so much for joining. This has been great. Thanks again to all of our wonderful presenters and to Emily for answering the Q&A. It looks like we had a question from Ginny in the chat about joining a user group. So you can go to our community homepage, community.pendo.io. It lists all of the user groups that are currently active, and you can subscribe to updates from each. So that is the most up-to-date place you can do that. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We will be sharing this recording out, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much.